You're not with military, you're not mercenary. What are you? Lost tourist?
I'm no tourist.
With any franchise, the making of the third movie is very tricky. If it's a part of a trilogy, it's hard to follow through and come up with a satisfying ending. In case of a third movie in a franchise, the trick is knowing what else can our hero endure. What can be the new stakes? I mean, we overcame difficulties twice before, so what is next? This is the crossroads Rambo 3 had to figure out. Sadly, in the pre-production, it already had a rocky start. So, did the movie turn out okay? I'm Meffistoe, like, share, and subscribe because this is my review of the movie, Rambo 3.
The name John Rambo.
Do you know it?
As I mentioned in my intro, Rambo 3 had a lot of production issues associated with it. The production was set to film in Thailand and in Israel, and in the latter, it faced a lot of restrictions on where and where not it can film because of the many elaborate action scenes. So some of the scenes were actually relocated to film in Arizona.
You got any ideas?
Drop your weapons!
Surrounding them's out.
Hell of a time for humor, John.
But it wasn't just the location issues. The first director was actually fired by Stallone because he didn't cast Russian soldiers that looked like they can hurt Rambo. According to Stallone, he didn't want to fight blue-eyed models. He wanted mean-looking people.
That was close, John. How are you?
Well done.
The story of Rambo 3 begins with Colonel Trautman seeking out John in Thailand. He finds him fighting for money in order to pay his dues for the monastery he lives in and works at. Trautman comes with an offer. He wants Rambo to join him in a mission to smuggle missiles into Afghanistan and help the Afghan people to fight the Russian invasion. Rambo, of course, rejects the offer with a very good reason.
I put in my time.
What's that mean?
It means my war's over.
Sam Trautman goes ahead with the mission and gets himself captured. The US Embassy official, Robert Griggs, informs Rambo of Trautman's capture and tells him that there will be no official rescue mission. This is in order to not drag the US into a full-on confrontations with the Soviets. Naturally, Rambo asks to be sent unofficially in order to try his luck and rescue his friend.
That if you're captured, or if any of this leaks, we'll deny any participation or even knowledge of your existence.
I'm used to it.
In Pakistan, Rambo meets his contact, Musa Ghani, who supplies him with weapons and other equipment in order to carry out the mission.
What does this work?
It's a blue light.
What does it do?
Turns blue.
He, of course, guides him into Afghanistan's harsh mountain region where the Mujahideen hide from the Russians. The tribe welcomes Rambo and gives him intel about the fort where Trautman is actually kept and how to get in and out of that place, but hesitate on helping him directly in fear of retribution.
Then I'll go alone.
And you will die.
And I die.
Meanwhile, an informant tips off the Soviets about this secret camp as they send out 2 helicopters to eradicate the rebels, and Rambo gets first-hand experience of the Russian retribution.
Have you not seen enough death? Go. Go while you can. This is not your war.
Despite the annihilation of the rebel camp, Rambo keeps moving forward. He infiltrates the Russian fort with the help of Musa and a young boy that tagged along from the rebels. In true Rambo fashion, he causes a lot of devastation and destruction, but he does not manage to save Trautman.
1 man against trained commandos. Who do you think this man is? God.
Oh, God would have mercy. He won't.
But John does not give up, and after he departs from Musa and the boy, he goes back inside the fort to free his friend and head to the border with a division of soldiers at his back.
Can you fly that thing? Let's find out.
Putting aside all the production stuff and the political messaging, Rambo 3 is a solid action film that completes the conversion of Rambo from an elite soldier to a live-action He-Man character. Which is funny because, following the popularity of the second movie, they created an animated series for kids where Rambo fights some obscure global crime syndicate. The movie isn't bad, but it is far removed from First Blood and even First Blood Part 2, and leaves you with a little bit of a bitter taste in your mouth. If I would try to explain it to a younger audience, I would probably say that Rambo 3 is the Michael Bay version of Rambo 2, with more explosions and more action set piece. The movie's overall political messaging did not age well. Stallone wanted to uplift the fighting spirits of the Afghan people. At the time, they were on their way to victory over the Soviet army, the war that ultimately helped the downfall of the USSR. The message itself did not age well, mostly because of the aftermath of 9/11 and the US invasion of Afghanistan, fighting against the same Mujahideen, but now they had a different name, the Taliban.
What you see here are the Mujahideen soldiers, holy warriors.
Stallone was rooting at the time for the underdog in this case, especially facing the real threat to the free world, the Soviet Russians. In fact, he had a similar patriotic message a couple of years before that in Rocky IV. That was the real perspective back in the day in the Reagan years of the US and carried over to the Bush administration, Bush Sr. that is. And this is where the original messaging came from.
May God deliver us from the venom of the cobra, teeth of the tiger, and the vengeance of the Afghan. You understand what this means?
That you guys don't take any shit.
When it comes to recommending this movie, I have a hard time to be thrilled for people to go and watch this thing. If you're a fan of action flicks, then yeah, this is something you should watch. It is well made, has strong action scenes, lots of blood, guts, guerrilla warfare, and some desert power stuff. But I did invoke Michael Bay for a reason. The stuff that Rambo is pulling off in this movie are almost superhero-like and becomes a little bit absurd and unreal. I hate spoilers in my reviews, but there is a tank versus helicopter fight scene which result in something so unreal, it's a bit comical.
We didn't make you this fighting machine. We just chipped away the rough edges.
To put it in perspective, in the first two movies, Rambo succeeds in beating the odds. In the third movie, he does get injured, but the stuff he went through, and a day later he can walk, let alone do what he did, is just beyond normal. And yes, this is a movie and you have to suspend your disbelief, but Rambo 3 takes a leap a bit too far for my taste.
How's the wound? You told us to ignore pain, didn't you? Is it working? Not really.
As a kid, I loved it so much. I loved it just as much as Rambo 2. To me, it was a flawless continuation of the story. As an adult, though, I can look back at the criticism this movie had, and I partially agree with some aspects. It is worth a watch, but with some concerns.
What do you say, John?
Thank you for watching, and remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you on the next video.